Modern Love fans. I'm Samantha, and we're talking about if dating someone older makes you have daddy issues, if the workplace breakup is bringing you peace, and if closure is a sign of love after this.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let's buzz.
Hello, everybody. My name is Samantha Jacobs, and we're talking about episode 6. So he looks like dad. It was just dinner, right? We're talking about Modern Love, but first, I want to introduce my amazing panel today. I have to my left Bonny Burke. Hi, Bonny.
Hi, so happy to be here.
Yes, she's an avid New York Times reader, so she is very smart and knows all the details on everything in the world.
Literate.
Facts.
That's mostly what it means.
You're my facts woman.
I can read.
Yes. And next to Bonny is Jenny Austin.
Hi.
And she is a love coach to all her friends. She's the go-to girl to text. So if you have any questions, please join our group chat and text her because she'll have your answer and any advice that you may need. And we have a lot to talk about. This episode is so dark yet deep and weird. We're talking about daddy issues, age gaps in dating in the workplace, closure, acceptance, dependability, and then we're going to go into our news and gossip, and then our special segment in real life. But first, how did you guys feel about this episode?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I felt
Why?
uncomfortable. Part of it was the general relationship made me feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
I do not have parents that have a large age gap. My partner and I do not have a large age gap. I've never dated someone who's 25 years older than me. So that was kind of like unusual to watch on screen.
Yeah.
Especially because it's always portrayed as an older man and a younger woman. So I found that kind of uncomfortable. And then when he approaches her and tries to kiss her, and her response of shock and horror, that I yelped. I actually yelped. You were like, yes. Oh, what's happening?
That's good, because that's a lot to develop. How about you, Jenny?
I loved it. It was one of my favorite episodes,
Wow.
if not my most favorite. I think Julia Garner is such an amazing actress, and I liked how it wasn't so black and white. I feel like it's a story we don't see often, and I loved the part when he was like asking for his coat, or he was like, "Did you just use me to get this coat for you?" And she was like, "No, if that's what." I just liked how it wasn't so black and white.
Good. Yeah. I mean, let's squash the elephant in the room. It's a huge age gap. 20 years per se. I don't know. She was just turned 21, it looked like.
Yeah, and he was what?
50? I'd say 50. Let's not give him the 60.
Okay, well,
Let's give him the 50.
Okay, fine. Let's do 50. So even then, 30 years.
Yeah. It's a lot.
On the low end of the age difference.
And his children were older than her.
Yes.
Yeah, which is always awkward. There's always this. Well, my thing is, what made her feel like he wasn't thinking anything romantic? I know from her point of view, she really didn't want that, and she wanted it to be mutual. But when you snuggle up on somebody, you can't not think that they don't want a relationship or don't feel something, connection.
Yes.
Or I don't know.
Or at least won't have that seed planted. If you're going over to their house for dinner, you're sitting on their counter drinking wine, you're crawling into bed with them to listen to music.
Yeah,
it's a safe assumption. And then, that scene where they're in the bed and they're listening to the music, and then she says to him something about, like, can you just pretend to be my dad? Can you just tell me a story?
So weird.
I would have been like, JK, gotta go. Bye.
I was so uncomfortable.
It was just so not nail on the head. That's why I loved it, I think. I was like, ugh. And then
and to me,
this is interesting, but I don't know if I like it, but I love it.
Do people do that in real life?
I don't know. I thought it was like kinky.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I thought he was thinking, like, oh, okay,
I
we're going to play that game.
The whole thing was like a kinky thing.
I could see that.
That never went kinky.
Yes.
And then when you kind of like think back on it, there really wasn't any indication that she was trying to be intimate with him.
Yeah.
That's like what's interesting about it is that on one hand there is the fact that she's doing these things that can be perceived as being flirtatious, But it also can be perceived as just her being herself.
And her wanting the father figure.
Yeah,
she really wanted him to be her dad.
Yeah. She even said that he smells like my dad.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's creepy. I feel like she's creepy. She stalked him. She waited outside his office. She made him cookies. She followed him to the food truck. She literally stalked this guy until he acknowledged her every single second.
But when you think she only wanted him as her mentor father figure in her life,
I don't even
then
think,
it's not as creepy.
Yeah, but I don't even think she wanted him as a mentor because they did not talk about work. She did not unfold herself in a way of like, these are my career goals. I'm using you to get to this point. She literally just wanted an intimate relationship with somebody without the sex.
Right, a friendship.
Or any type of affection.
Right. But then what's the conversation we have around relationships with people that are in, let's say, what most people would consider like a familiar role, right? Like a family role, like a parent or a sibling or whatever, when you don't have those in your life, right? So she doesn't have a father figure. So then how do we breach those relationships with people? Like, for instance, I have a friend who I used to teach with. She's, I don't know, mid-60s. And she fulfills a kind of mother role, right? I have the relationship I have with my mother, and then I also have this woman who's the same age as my mother almost, who also can give that kind of advice and that guidance, etc. And because we're the same gender, it isn't weird.
Right.
Right? I can go to San Francisco and I can stay at her house. It's not weird.
Yeah.
There's no assumption of it becoming an intimate relationship because you're
the same gender.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what happens when that's a father that you're trying to replace?
I feel you don't snuggle up with him. You know?
Go to his place.
You can you can still have that relationship, right? And talk about deep things and have these awesome conversations, and then you leave it there and you do the playful dad thing.
Right.
Not the playful, like, I am your child, let me sit on your lap.
Yes.
Because there isn't that connection there. You aren't that person's child. Unless, you started from a very young age. You're 5, and this guy took that role as your father, and then you actually do have
Or maybe it's something that comes over time. I think maybe that's where it got complicated with this.
Yeah.
Is that she immediately went into his house, immediately went on his counter with a glass of wine, immediately went in his bed. Where, let's say they had a friendship for 5 years, and then they could easily sit next to each other on a couch. He could have his arm around her, and they could listen to music, and they both know it's not an intimate relationship with that kind of intimacy.
Right.
Right. They didn't establish, like, a friendship.
Yes.
Or a mentorship.
Nothing.
Work-wise.
She just wanted it so bad that she just went for it.
She was, like, in her own head.
Yeah.
It was very self-indulgent, I think. She wasn't thinking about how he was feeling at all.
Because according to Psychology Today, 56% of women date older men.
Really?
Yes.
How much are they considering older? Like anyone older?
Anyone not, equivalent to age.
Okay.
So anywhere from 1 year older to 10. So the average is 10. Most people date at 10 years. And then if you do reach that 20-year age gap, they say it's better after 30 or even 40, because if you're 20 dating someone who's 40, there's still so much life lessons and life things that you aren't experiencing.
Right, it's very
different. You were 50 and dating someone 70, that's more of something that you can have a successful relationship.
That makes
sense. They're saying that the bigger the gap, the more issues you have.
Oh, the more issues.
So it's not something that is successful if you are looking at the equation of love.
Women mature more quickly than men.
Yeah, that's what it said here too. Women peak at 18 and men peak at 50. How are we supposed
I'm sorry, what?
How are we supposed to date a nice man if he has to be 50 to realize what his life is about?
I'm more concerned with the women peak at 18.
That's what it said. It said women peak at 18
There's no way.
and men peak at 50.
Like looks-wise, or
what's peaking?
It's like a
life-wise. I was not peaking at 18.
Genetic reproduction-wise.
I guess maturity. It's based off of maturity level.
But aren't you not fully adult until you're 25?
Yeah.
Your brain's not fully
every
developed.
7 years
your
your
brain
body
isn't fully
changes.
developed.
No matter what. Every 7 years your body evolves into something.
I disagree with the scientists.
We're going to make our own facts.
Yes, we should. Well, because what I also found interesting, where they were saying the youngest age that you should date is by dividing your age by 2 and adding 7. So the youngest guy that I should date right now is 21.
I'm not trying to date a 21-year-old.
And then that's the thing. Do I want to date someone that's 21?
No.
They're still figuring
offense.
life. I know.
But I thought we had to date older.
Well, it's the reverse. So if you were the 21-year-old, I guess you would do the reverse.
Oh, if you were 21, okay.
Mm-hmm. So you would date someone who was, 7 years older. Basically, that's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what do you relate on? I guess very, like, they related on jazz music. So just very simple things.
Didn't like it until she heard him listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like his golf socks. He didn't play golf, but she was obsessed with it.
She had them rubbing on her face. I was having a real issue with her. She had them on her hands. She was. They weren't washed. They came off of his feet. She put them on his mitts and rubbed them on her face.
Well, what I think
for comfort.
Yeah.
I can't.
And then pulled the comforter over without being under the comforter. She like sat on the bed and did a swoosh.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that made me just
Jenny, tell us what you
a
liked about this.
There's a lot of layers. I feel like you understand her somehow, so please explain, because there's a lot. I feel like she really wanted acceptance. From the beginning of the episode to the end of the episode, it was all about hearing that I am proud of you, you are successful, you will be whoever you want to be, I love you. And that's what she wanted. So what can we expect from somebody?
I can't personally relate. I have normal parents, still married. I can't say I have like daddy issues, but I had, as far as like working environments, I think it can get tricky if you have an older man that you're looking up to and could maybe help you in the industry, and you develop a friendship and he's like really pulling for you. He understands what you're going through industry wise, but it does get tricky because she didn't really talk about her career goals with him, but she did like that he was telling her, I'm so proud of you, and stuff like that. So where am I getting?
It's just all tricky.
It's tricky, but I liked that he wasn't like trying to get laid. Like it wasn't just so, as I said a billion times, so black and white. Just like, oh yeah, she's hot and young, and I want to, you know.
Right, there's even that scene at the end when he approaches her and he's like, I need to talk to you. And she's like, am I getting fired? And he's like, no,
but
you're not getting fired.
He chose to leave. He said he was leaving because of, that's what love does in the workplace.
Yeah.
Someone's got to change, or you got to be mature about it. She wasn't mature enough for that to be successful. She blatantly ignored him in the hallways.
Yeah.
And someone who actually loved her.
Do you think he fell in love with her, like real love?
I think he liked the situation.
Yeah.
I don't think he was actually in love with her.
I think she was cute and a good actress. In real life, you know what I mean? Like, as her character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she went along with what was happening.
Right. And I think he thought maybe one day that it could happen, but wasn't sure.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Like we said, acceptance, closure, tricky. We didn't really connect with it. Jenny did. Jenny connected with this episode, but most people
industry,
thought this
who knows?
was kind of strange. So let's get into our news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So this episode was directed by Emmy Rossum, and she did an interview with People magazine where she was talking about this episode that she directed, and she said, I think when art gets an intense reaction, that's a good thing, and people here have wildly different opinions of this episode, which is the case even just with us.
It's true. I feel like this isn't something common you see. It is uncomfortable. It's something, especially with the Me Too movement, is there something like airing that wave right now between that episode? We don't know. There's a lot of things to think about. There's a lot of situations, different situations. So it is art. We respect it. We watched it. We liked it. Let's give it a, what would we rate this?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
A 10.
Really?
Wow.
Maybe a 9. Because I feel like they should have developed the friendship more in the beginning to make it more confusing.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 6 because the acting was so great. The characters were believable. but I didn't love it.
Yeah. I would say 6, 7. I didn't love it either. But, you know, that's a wrap. You know, they ended the episode quick. It's one episode. It's not a whole season of this couple. So that's the end. And that is also the end of us. So thanks you guys so much for watching. Catch us on our next episode. I am Samantha, and this is Bonnie. Jenny, where can they reach you guys?
Jenny Louise Austin on Instagram.
And follow me at Bonnie R. Burke on Instagram.
And you can follow me at Story of Samantha. Bye, guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the big...
Okay. I know that like went the other way, and I was like using it as an armrest. This way? Oh, the cube. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Tobin and Andy.
Okay, do we know what we're talking about? Airplane.
Ooh, a lot of feedback.
Yeah, no.
Airplane.
Let me airplane you. Okay, I'm on airplane.